Let's talk about bonding agents in this video, starting with enamel bonding agents. They have helped to improve the bond by flowing into all microporosities of etched enamel and creating a mechanical retention. They act as an intermediary between tooth and composite, increasing the wettability. Now, the composition of enamel bonding agents. What they have is unfilled resins, plus diluted monomers. These monomers, they decrease viscosity, increase mechanical bond strength. They also increase penetration. Drying the enamel with warm air or using an ethanol rinse can increase bond strength. Now coming on to the second part of bonding agents, which is dentine bonding agents. The dentine bonding agents, they help us in bonding the resin to dentine or the cementum surface. So they help us to bond resin, dentine or resin to cementum surface. However, developing dentine bond agents was a difficult task because of the heterogeneous nature, as well as because of the high water content, which used to interfere with the tubular nature, which interfered with tubular nature and bonding. Provided a variable area, as well as the presence of the smear layer on cut dentine surface. Now, what are the requirements of a dentine bonding agent? We require a dentine bonding agent which has a hydrophilic part and a hydrophobic part. The hydrophilic part and hydrophobic part, they have their own significance. The hydrophilic part is assumed to bond with the calcium which is present in the hydroxyapatite crystals of dentine, or with collagen, and the hydrophobic part is required to bond with restorative resin. Now, with time, many generations of dentine bonding agents had been developed. I'll just follow up all of them in a very brief way. So, what is the evolution of dentine bonding agents? Evolution of dentine bonding agents. Now, the first generation. In the first generation, what was used was glycerophosphoric methacrylate, dimethacrylate. Now what happens in this is This methacrylate, dimethacrylate acts as the hydrophobic part, and the phosphate part acts like the hydrophilic part. So this is the first generation of the dentin bond agents coming, but it had a disadvantage that since it is first generation, it is quite self-explanatory. It might be having low bond strength as a disadvantage. I'm just making it easy to remember, low bond strength. Then it also showed one more disadvantage, which was leakage at the dentin resin interface, which we do not need. Okay, then there came second generation dentin bonding agents. In the second generation, what we get to see is NPG gamma. In this, the bond strength was still low, and there was a short term adhesion. It couldn't be used for long term. Then coming on to the third generation. The third generation, it is very the bond strength is very comparable to the resin, but the use was more complex. Like, you required a number of steps. I'll just give a quick view of the steps which were required. First, you need to etch enamel with phosphoric acid 37%. Then you need to condition dentin using mild acid. Then application of separate primer. Then application of polymerizable monomer. Then the insertion or the placement of resin. Coming on to the fourth generation. In fourth generation, we get to see total etch technique being used. And there is a development of a hybrid zone. Acid etch technique was used when initially people thought that dentin bonding agents cannot be used because they'll somehow irritate the pulp. So we used acid etch technique, which I'll cover in the another video. So what happened was, later at the time when they were developing fourth generation dentin bonding agents, they realized that the acid etch technique does not harm the pulp as long as bacterial contamination and leakage is avoided. Now, what is this hybrid zone actually? This is the structure which is formed in dental hard tissue by demineralization of surface and subsurface, followed by infiltration of monomers into a collagen mesh and subsequent polymerization. It is very delicate layer and can be destroyed by desiccation. This was using two primers. One was this one, NPG gamma, and it was also using BPDM. BPDM stands for bisphenyl dimethacrylate. Okay, and it used unfilled adhesives. Okay, now coming on to the fifth generation. In fifth generation, what we get to see self-priming adhesives. It had many advantages. First of all, it had a decrease in the steps. It was less technique sensitive. Fourth generation was quite technique sensitive. It had a pleasant odor, plus it had an increased bond strength. Now coming on to the sixth generation. Sixth generation was, however, of two types: type 1 and type 2. In one you used the same etchant, primer, bottle, adhesives, and in type 2 you used the phosphoric acid also. Coming on to the 7th generation, which is quite an interesting one. It is characterized by no mix, self etching adhesive. The example is I bond or G bond. Now, what are the components of this 7th generation? First component is UDMA, urethane dimethacrylate. Now, this is the main component. It forms the matrix component. It is responsible for wetting the surface. It promotes infiltration. Infiltration then will further lead to the formation of the hybrid zone. It bonds to collagen via hydrogen bonding, and it bonds to calcium via chelation. Then second component is 4-meta, which is film forming, mainly responsible for cross linking. Then we have acetone, which is the solvent for monomer. We require water for etching, so the fourth component is water for etching. Then, as I discussed earlier, camphorquinone, which is a photoinitiator or a photosensitizer. Then we also need to make sure that we are etching, so we do not need bacterial contamination, so we need a disinfectant. So as a disinfectant we'll use glutaraldehyde, and we need a stabilizer. Now, how do these bonding agents actually work, and what are their uses? Why do we actually need bonding agents? What are the uses of bonding agents? First of all, to bond composite, because composite does not adhere to the tooth structure. To bond composite to tooth structure. Second, to bond the composite to porcelain, bond composite to porcelain and various metals, like we have base metal alloys, noble metal alloys, amalgam. It is also useful for desensitization of exposed dentine. Exposed dentine leads to sensitivity, so it desensitizes the exposed dentine on root surface. Then it is also useful for bonding of porcelain veneers. Now coming on to the bonding mechanism, how is bonding agent actually bonding the composite to the tooth structure or to any of the alloys, metals, porcelain, exposed dentine desensitization? The bonding mechanism is very easy. It is through a micromechanical bond. Now, how is this micromechanical bond formed? It is formed due to the penetration of polymerizing monomer into finely textured dentine. Now what will happen is a fine collagen mesh structure is present on dentine. Now our bonding agent will start infiltration of their hydrophilic component, and then we'll see the hydrophobic part with the restorative material, and the hydrophilic part being bonded with the calcium of the hydroxyapatite crystals. Now the bond strength is quite comparable to the resin, to the etched enamel, and it is seen that the bond strength decreases with the depth of the cavity. So what we do is we do dye penetration tests to measure the depth. It is done by using tracers or by staining. Measure depth.